Sanborana again. It's for Simhlab. Now I'm today I'm doing the last analysis of the impact here and rebellion. And shortly, remember that we said the White Mine Workers Union solved their problem by changing the government, removing the party that was in governing the, and then they put the party that. So we have look at things like removal of black people from economic areas to areas of Kwamashu, Umlazi. We look at job preservation. Many things happened in the period between 1948 to 1976. But today I want to say, before we go to the sixth phase, analyzing everything the National Party regime did for white people, it is evident that really the National Party carried the mandate given by their constituency and their voters. We use examples of schools. We looked at funding, job market. There were job reservation, unequal salaries, conditions of employment, of service, and all the like that you can think of. But in my closing analysis, I want us to check, what did the National Party do to benefit their constituency and their voters, for them to maintain their status of white supremacy? What things did they do? Because we have to compare with what has happened in 1994 to date and the period before 1994, which starts from 1948. Because remember that at the center, we are looking at why our monies, the money that we get, either we worked, either we had a business, why the buying power is deteriorating every day, every time. If I'm talking about the buying power, I'm talking about that if your 100 rand was able to get you 15 items, why now your 100 rand now can only get you 8 items? We are checking that. But before we get to specific, we had to look at the history. BLF taught us good thing to use a Sankofa bed, the wisdom of Sankofa bed, saying, look at the history whilst we are moving forward. Don't forget what happened, because it will assist you to determine your way forward. Now, I want to check, because my concern, are these too much agencies the government is having versus employing people to the minister's offices or head of departments, in the to implement the policies, the programs. Today I want to check, did National Party to pay their pension fund to South Africans? My grandmother was receiving pension fund. And I understand that even during the days of my grandfather, people have started to get pension fund. The question is, did National Party had SASA, the agent? So if they didn't have an agent called SASA, how were they paying the recipients of pension benefit if really the pension benefits cannot be paid if you don't have an agent? So then now that leads us that now in the next presentation, we have to go and analyze how much the agent cost us, the taxpayers. We are going to do that. And all of us, each and every one of you can Google it. Whilst when we go to, we are in that presentation, you will have some answers. And we are checking. National Party, all white schools were state paid, fully state paid. Universities, technical colleges, basic education schools. Here in Durban, because I'm in KZN, I'm in Durban. In UKZN today, which was called Natal University by then, and which was for whites only, we blacks were not allowed to go and study there. Durban University of Technology, DUT, was for whites only. And then there, and Bria Technical College was for whites only. But the thing that one now knows, all white schools were fully funded by the state. Now, the question is, did National Party has NSFAS as an agent? Did National Party had a NSFAS or a agent identical to NSFAS that will distribute finances to various institutions? So, did National Party had a National Youth Development Agents, NYDA? So we need to ask these questions. I learned something I was not aware. Even the government pension fund is managed by a government pension fund agency. So were there those agencies? We are seeing in health sector, training colleges are all privately owned. You find them in all buildings in town, charging amounts, exorbitant amount, up to 20,000 or more per student, excluding uniform, transport, food, and other things. So did we have that? Did National Party have that? How did National Party distribute funds to each constituency? But from my side, I will say the answer is National Party did not have any agents, any agent. People were employed by the government, process the payments of recipients or beneficiaries, and all beneficiaries get what they deserve to get. And this thing reminds me in 1975 when IFP became the government, when we were then have the WaZulu government, though Chief Buthelezi refused several times that he has never accepted self-determination. But that was, let us park that one aside. But in 1975 or 6 or 7, 1978, there was an exodus of movement of people to Ulundi, because when there was a parliament, the WaZulu government employed people from people who have got standard 8 by then, which is grade 10 now, and grade 12. They were employed in the KwaZulu Natal government. They were employed in different sections: health, education, transport, what, and many people whom we grew up with here. They left the township Wamashu. They went to Ulundi. They stayed there. Then it was up to you to upgrade yourself inside. As a result, even now, if you can go to the Department of Education, we have people who started to work for education when they were employed by KwaZulu Natal government, where when the education was then, by then was called Department of Education and Culture, when it was under the government led by Inkatha Freedom Front Party. So I'm closing this analysis by checking, because in my view, and if you have studied finances, accounting, if you have studied economics, you will understand, you will check that there is a financial implication if you have an agent, that you want the agent to do your job instead of employing people to do that job, but you put the agent. And maybe, okay, we are clear with the gear policy that gear policy is something new, came up with ANC in 1995. So I will not ask whether did National Party government use gear policy, because it's simple. The answer is simple. It's no, because there is no white person who was suffering in this country. There were even suspicion that I worked for Lever Brothers when I came out from school. We came out with matric, and there was a suspicion that maybe that young white boy who is a foreman in the department might have only grade 8, but because he's white, he's our foreman, and we are wearing overalls. We are picking big boxes here, heavy boxes, because we are black. So today I was just doing that analysis to say, how did National Party, or what did they do to distribute finances to their beneficiaries. Remember, in our schools, there was no money coming from the state. Everything was paid by our parents. And in rural areas, they talked about rent to rent. If they want to build a school, parents bring one rent, government bring one rent. Parents were carrying water by hand, building their own schools. So there was no this thing of gear policy and all the likes. Here in the township, as I was growing up, we had a municipality depot down there at East Section near Swanel. People were employed coming from, once you got a trade or plumbing or what, people are employed. We just phone, we just go and report. A water pipe has burst. Within few hours, the pipe is repaired. Though we did not have electricity in our houses, but most of if there's a blockage in the sewerage, you just go and report in the office. Within a day, the municipality car is arriving, they fix the matter and go. So there are many things White National Party regime did, but how did they do it? As we are failing, you can go everywhere you can go, even take a walk. You'll find water is running along the road since, and nobody is fixing them. So that is my last analysis of Rand Rebellion. But in conclusion, I conclude that white people had a reason to vote, had a reason to go to polls. They knew what benefit they were benefiting by putting National Party regime in power. And they had all reason to fight for National Party regime to be in power. They knew, and they benefited. They benefited. So, good people, I will close it there. And then in the next presentation, we will then look at the sixth phase of employment relationship history, where now we had COSATU. We were allowed to be unionized. There were unions, and they came together and they formed the federation called COSATU. We will deal with that one. I thank you.